What is up, guys? I am back again, second time today. You guys are getting a 2-for-1 because I am behind on my training sessions and I just need to get these off of my camera and onto YouTube. So, 2 sessions today. You get to see my pull session from Monday, and then this session is my push session from Tuesday. Starting out here with flat bench press, dumbbell to flat bench press as always. Total time for the session, 1 hour and 13 minutes. So I've really slowed this session down. Comparatively, I used to be getting through it in about 50 minutes, 55 minutes. So added a lot of rest time in there just to really take my time through this. Took a 5-pound weight progression, well, actually 10, 5 pound per dumbbell, so 10 total pound weight progression on this top set here. Went up from 110s to 115s, hit 11 reps. So this weight on this top set will stay the same next week. My rep goal here, my range is 8 to 12. So not at the high end of that range yet. Pretty damn close. Really happy with this. Felt really good. It didn't feel as great as the 110s last week. The 110s just fucking flew last week. I think I got 110 for 13. But still, getting 11 with the 5 pounds or 10 pounds added felt really good. Since I didn't hit 12 reps on that top set, I did back down in weight for the second set. I backed all the way down to 100. Instead of going to like 105 or 110, I was going to have to back down to 100 for my third set anyway, so I was like, whatever, fuck it. I'll back down to 100s for my second set, and then just end up doing 100 for my second and third set. So total rep and weight progression here, 115s for 11, and then the 100s for 13 and 10. Really solid start to the day here. I always love when this movement feels really good because it just sets the tone for the rest of my pressing movements. This is honestly one of my most progressed movements too. Huge increases in weight that I've taken here without any sacrifice in form. I feel like this is one of the few movements where my form just never really breaks, and no matter how bad it might feel under it, there's some fucking grindy reps under those 115s at the start there, but this is a good movement for me. I click really well with this. I like it. I think we're going to get to the point soon where we might have to switch it out for more of a supported movement, like a flat bench machine. But for now, the dumbbells are staying in. The only reason we might have to switch it out at some point is just getting the fucking dumbbells in position. It's just a pain, especially as we get up to probably the 125s. It's even swinging them back becomes a little bit of a struggle to get these laid out right. So we'll see. For now, again, they stay in, no major problems with it. Feels really good. So I'm just going to let the last set here play out, and then we will get into the incline hammer strength press. All right, and moving into the hammer strength incline press. Like I said, 8 to 12 reps here as well as the goal. Took a 5-pound increase here this week. Went from 215 up to 220. Hit 220 for 12 on this top set, so super happy with that. Hit 220 for 8 on my second set. That is where I'm starting to kind of question what I need to do with the weight. I don't think I'm going to back off from 220, but I may need to. Just because this is a movement where, this, for those who don't have this machine or who haven't used this machine, it's very, very heavy in that full extension where you are pressed pressed all the way out. And it takes a little bit of the tension off the pec, but it also makes this a really heavy movement near the end of the range there. And it's kind of a unique movement you have to get used to on this particular machine. So long story short, I'm considering on that second set dropping down to 180, which is also where my third set is currently at, and then just moving up with that third set, doing 1 top set, 2 back offs basically. But we'll see how it feels next week. If I get under this and the weight moves really easily, we might just keep it at 220. I'm definitely not going to be taking any more weight increases on that second set, But for now, this was 220 for 12, and then 8, and then 180 for 12. So that third set will also go up next week just by about 5 pounds. I think I'm going to also start probably taking this up no more than 5 pounds per week. No jumps by 10 or anything like that. And then moving into my pec deck for this week. Actually, I didn't take any weight progression here. I thought I did. I did not. But I did take a rep progression on both sets. In fact, a pretty significant one. 10 to 15 is the rep goal, and this top set, 130 pounds for 17, and then the back off set, 115 for 17. That second set was honestly the biggest improvement, because I think it was like 115 for 12 or 115 for 13 last week. So killed this week. This felt really, really good. In fact, this whole session felt really, really good this week. The only thing that kind of feels a little bit lackluster on these days is sometimes my tricep work, but more consistently that incline press that I was just on. Just need to kind of dial in how I'm working on that a little bit better, I think. This week felt good from a setup perspective for that movement, but I think I just need to maybe play with the weight a little bit and kind of find what works for me. Because for me, my chest is something where I tolerate very low volume intra set. And what I mean by that is my chest doesn't really tolerate high volume sets very well, high rep range. In fact, I mean, like you see here, 10 to 15, this is about as high as I can get, right? And this is pushing. For me, honestly, I like 6 to 8 rep range honestly feels like where my chest starts to get to the point where I'm not limited by my capacity, but just by the fatigue. Right? So anything above 8 is a real struggle for me on the chest sometimes. So I'm thinking, we might need to change up some rep ranges at some point. But for now, again, this is working well. This felt good. I'm really happy with how everything's been progressing overall, chest and everything else. So super happy to keep this going for now. And now starting my only shoulder work for the day on this push day, my machine laterals. Took I think a 5 pound weight progression here this week, and also hit 17 reps. So this is 117.5, and I hit 17 with this. So this will go up next week to what the fuck is that? 122.5, is that 5 pounds? Whatever 5 pounds up is, 122.5, I think. Second and third set, I dropped down to 105, so it was 105 pounds for 14 and then 11. Those will stay the same next week because I did not hit the high end of the rep range there. So this is another one of those movements. And this is, I guess, to kind of spot the trend here. For me, smaller muscle groups, whether that's bicep, tricep, side delts, even, I don't really want to say my front delts as much, but side delts, all those smaller muscles, calves are another good example. My top set, if I go all out on my top set, that's really enough effective work for me. Obviously, we need additional volume there, but after that top set, it's really hard for me to get anywhere close. Some people, for example, let's say they lateral raise 100 pounds and they hit 15 reps, and then they do their second set and they do 100 for 13, and then they do 100 for 12 or 11, right? For me, that drop off is much more significant. I might do way better on that first set. Instead of hitting 100 for 15, I might hit 100 for 18. But then that drop off into that second set is something like, 6 reps less rather than just 1 or 2 difference. So there's a pretty big drop off between sets for me. And it's not really a bad thing. It just means that first set is really working the way it should for me. It's just something I have to keep in mind when I'm thinking about my own programming and kind of discussing things with my own coach. Now moving into my bilateral tricep extension here today. Dropped the weight here on the second set, but this first set was still, this was a weight increase. We did 70 pounds for 21 reps last week. This was 75 pounds for 20 reps. But I kind of was feeling like this machine was a little fucked up. It felt like it was sticking partway up the post today. So like, I feel like they need to like grease the post on it or whatever. So after this set, you see me move to a different cable pulley here. But after this first set as well, I dropped my second set. Last week, I think I did like 70, 70, 50, 50. This week I did 75, 50, 50, 50. So it sounds like a decrease. It sounds like a regression. It absolutely was not. Took a weight decrease on that second set, but instead of hitting 70 for 11, I hit 50 for 20. So the reps went way up. It felt way better. This is absolutely how I need to do it. Going off of what I was just talking about on the lateral raises, how these muscle groups that are smaller, I typically need to do one just fucking crazy set that's my heaviest set and just really focus on getting as much as I can with that. And then these secondary sets, I have to back off that weight a pretty significant amount. But that felt perfect. This felt great. 75 for 20, 50 for 20, 17, 15. So all within the range this week. Nothing I felt like I could have done better on these, with the exception of trying a different handle. So here in like 3-4 minutes at the end of this session, the end of this video, you guys will see I actually throw you can kind of see it hanging out of the blue bin here on the screen, these like cloth handles. I actually end up throwing those on the cable here because I wanted to try doing this exact same tricep extension with my palm downward, right? Rather than having this neutral grip. So having a pronated grip where I'm actually pushing down towards the ground, almost like a tricep push down, but without coming down in front of me, and instead pulling back to the side in the same way that I do with the rope here for the extension. And that, let me tell you, that felt fucking great. That just really helped kind of give me some extra rotation through the wrist that I think helped me connect with the tricep a lot better. And I'm probably going to end up using that attachment going forward. The only reason I haven't up to this point is that I didn't know we had it. And it's one of the whole reason I was using this rope that you see me using here for these is just because it's a longer rope, it's longer than a standard rope, so it lets you come out further to the side and really extend through the tricep fully and, you know, push the arm out to the side as it's intended to, rather than just like coming down in front of you a little bit and feeling like you're not getting a full extension with that tricep. So you guys will see that here in a minute, and I'll, still be here fucking yapping about it. But that felt really good. I'm definitely going to do that in place of the rope for my extension. So the weight for my extensions, the weight might need to change a little bit next week, just because as I switch attachments, it does feel a little bit different. It honestly felt a little heavier, just because I'm not like bracing in my the side of my fist against the rope as much. So it might need to drop a little bit. Hopefully not, but we'll see. All right, and for my last movement here, this is my single arm overhead tricep extension. This felt really good because I finally took I don't really want to call it a progression, but I wasn't regressing for the first time in a couple weeks on this. Last week, I ended up hitting like 30 for like 11 and then 30 for 12 or something like that. Maybe even worse. I think it might have been like 30 for 12 and 30 for 10 or some shit. Really I haven't moved the weight up on this in like probably 5 weeks at this point. 4 weeks maybe, something like that. And my reps have, I think, peaked around like 16 reps for both sets. Finally got back somewhere close to that. And I think part of that has just been the tricep extensions prior to this movement have just fatigued my triceps a lot going into this. So it's not necessarily that I'm not progressing my tricep movements. It's just that I'm not progressing this movement because I already am fatigued from my prior movement. So not a big deal. I told my coach about that. I talked about it with him. He's like, don't really worry about it. This is mostly metabolite work anyway, just having this high rep overhead stuff in. So we're not too concerned about it at this point, but it was still nice to see that I took the reps up this week, hit 30 for 15 and then 30 for 14, and these felt good. I never really have a problem with how they feel. They don't cause me any pain or any issues. They're just a little finicky. Some weeks my triceps, I get to 12 reps and I'm like, I literally just can't fucking move it any further. And then there's other weeks where it's like I get close to 20 and it's like I could do this for days, So one crucial thing with this movement is to just remember not to load things too heavily. You don't need to go and do 60 pounds overhead on a single arm tricep extension. You just don't, right? If you can, great, and it's like not just this ineffective intensity, but more often than not, that's just going to lead to elbow issues or even shoulder issues, and it's just ego lifting, for lack of a better word. If you're big enough that you need to do 60, 70 pound overhead tricep extensions with a single arm, then by all means do it. But you should be using these as a really small finishing exercise that's just kind of some final stimulus after you do larger dedicated bilateral movements or even compound work like a close grip bench press that focuses more on tricep work. And then here, this is not any tracked work, but this is the attachment that I was talking about, where I was saying I'm probably going to switch to this handle for my bilateral extensions. You can just see I'm kind of able to bring the arms even a little further out than I can with the rope with this attachment, just because of how long it is. So this felt really, really solid. Really, really excited to get in next week and see how this feels doing this on, or using this attachment on the extensions. But for now, guys, that is going to be it for this session. You get 2 today, so I hope you enjoyed. If you did, make sure to like the video, subscribe, comment what other kinds of content you want to see as it pertains to bodybuilding. And until next time, take it easy.